Hi there and welcome. My name is Jordan and today we're going to talk all about a parasite cleanse. This just came into my life randomly. I was not pursuing the idea of a parasite cleanse or anything like that. As you may know from my liver detox video, I just have been not feeling so good consistently. Like every day I wake up, I have brain fog. I feel like my eyes don't wake up to the world and I just don't feel well. Like I feel like something's wrong. And so I, research and try to find out different things. And randomly, I was suggested on Pinterest, or when it brings feed that you don't usually have, one about parasite cleansing. And so I pressed on it, like, what is this? Like, that kind of seems gross to me. And then I got into the rabbit hole of a parasite cleanse, and that's what I'm going to take you on, is that journey of learning about parasites within the human body and just how common it is. So right when I started this deep dive into parasites, a short from Joe Rogan popped up on my feed as well, and he was talking about ivermectin, and I think it's called fendibenazole, and how people are using it to cure themselves from cancer rather quickly. And then that same week, I had just learned of someone else who overcame cancer, making their body very alkaline through diet. The topic was just popping up throughout the week on what I was seeing come through my YouTube channel, my Pinterest, and what I was learning in my life about people with cancer. So I got on the phone with my mom's best friend, who I love so much, and she's also interested in health in a similar way that I am, and also electroculture, those fun things. And I asked her if she's ever done a parasite cleanse, which she had, because I knew she was taking baking soda water every night. And so I wasn't sure if that was for a parasite cleanse or what that was. Also tried other things in the natural scope of health. And so I just wanted to learn whatever she knew. When it comes to you firsthand, it's easier to digest and it feels more real when it's someone you actually know. And she shared that she had done a parasite cleanse with her husband. They both did ivermectin. And that's when it clicked to me oh, ivermectin is for parasites. I thought it was specifically... My dog sees a squirrel outside. So I was surprised that she had done the ivermectin, and that is actually for parasites, which is curing people from cancer, which is very interesting to me. And she also shared that she had never felt better than when she had done her parasite cleanse. And so I thought, okay, I need to try a parasite cleanse, but for me, I don't like to take anything over the counter or any sort of medicine. I would rather go to plant medicine whenever possible. So then I went down a rabbit hole of what plants are really good for parasite cleansing, and there are quite a few, which I'll share in this video. But really after that call, I thought maybe this is why I feel ill. Maybe I have parasites, and that's the root cause of my symptoms and what is going on. So I'm just going to take you down the rabbit hole of what I was learning. So after that conversation, I start looking into the symptoms of having parasites. And to my surprise, they are constipation, which we all know I have had a history of, or diarrhea, digestive issues, which I have also had, issues with the skin, of course, breaking out, rashes, itching, insomnia. So almost all of those are things I've had, except for insomnia. I've not really had a problem with that before. So all of the symptoms so far are very prevalent in my life. And so it's maybe that has something to do with what's been going on with me. And then there is also strong food cravings, especially at night, which is very prevalent in my life. I always crave sweets at night. And so with parasites, you crave either sweets like sugar or salt. That is another one to check off the box. Yes, I have that symptom. There is also bloating, which I always have after eating. And the last one is feeling off during a full moon, because that's when parasites are actually very active, because they're feeding off a hormone or something that your body produces during a full moon. And I know for me, I am very irritable during a full moon. I am just not so friendly, and I want to eat a lot. So that was another thing. It's ooh, maybe this is a reality of mine. Maybe I have parasites. But then again, it's also, those are all very common symptoms for other things. And I feel like many people have these symptoms. So maybe their root cause of any issues they're having is actually parasites. I think it's 90% or something like that of people actually have parasites, and many do not know it. In other countries, they do a parasite cleanse either once a year or whenever the season changes. So that's something really fascinating too. And I know in our Western world, we feel like we are not exposed to parasites, but we'll go over that a little bit later. Okay, going back to the symptoms, it's really interesting to me, like whatever symptom you have ever for anything, it is your body's sign, especially when it is through the skin somewhere that you can see that there is a deeper underlying issue going on, and your body is trying to communicate with you that there is something that needs to be addressed. And so with this, with the parasites and, with lichen sclerosis, that is something on the skin. So hey, there is a root problem going on. You need to understand and then take care of. Have you heard that? My dog, she's trying to chew up an Amazon box. She's the sweetest little girl, but she eats everything. Literally everything. Rocks, toys. Anyways, that took me off track. Okay, so when I started the pursuit of parasites, almost everything I was finding is a link through to people's personal Instagrams or Facebook, because it seems it's not accepted on the wider web, people's testimonials. So I was finding a lot of testimonials on Facebook, especially of parents using parasite cleanses on their children, including young children 2 and up, and they're finding big results in behavior, stopping bedwetting. That's a really common sign for parasites, as well as teeth grinding at night. But there are also a lot of reports of it helping children with autism, detoxing their bodies of the parasites, as well as heavy metals. And that is not like commonly shared on YouTube and other platforms. That is when you go to someone's personal page or a Facebook group. To me, that was very interesting, and maybe Big Pharma doesn't want such a common issue of parasites to be known, because then you don't have all the issues that come along later on through the years where you're having these chronic illnesses, continually needing supplements and pills or whatever. Something about that really stood out to me. It almost made the information feel more true, especially when you're hearing it straight from a mom who's helping her child or someone overcoming illnesses. And then I find the Worm Queen on the Apothecary podcast, and she is sharing her story of having a parasite cleansing, and it's helping her overcome her health issues that she had had chronically throughout her life. Endometriosis, she had a hysterectomy, so her uterus removed. And then she had 13 surgeries, and the doctors couldn't find a problem with her. And it's after a parasite cleanse, she's getting relief from her other issues. And this is where we get into, yes, the US is exposed to parasites in our daily rhythm. And the Worm Queen, she tested her city water in Tacoma, Washington, and it tested positive for nematodes, so parasites. And then she moved and she went to a property with a well, also had nematodes. And so the constant exposure to parasites can be through your drinking water. It can be through food, uncooked meats. It can be through your vegetables that aren't appropriately washed, even through gardening, being in the dirt, and they just kind of find their way into your body. I know that seems really creepy and gross, but this is well known around the world. These little critters, they just get in there and they try to make their communities, and it is our awareness to properly cleanse, once a year, if not every season, to get rid of these. And we need to regain this traditional knowledge that parasites, they just come and we can get rid of them. People do it all around the world once a year, if not every season change. And you just go on a simple diet for about 2 weeks, and you take some supplements or some papaya seeds. That's one of the things you can do and it will just flush them out of your body. I am personally about a week into a parasite cleanse, and oh my goodness, I have had a huge change in how I feel. But this is going to be a pretty long video, I think, and the sun is just coming out, so I think my little kiddos will get back from the bakery soon. So that will be another video, me sharing my story of a parasite cleanse. But let's continue along my rabbit hole of what I was finding, different stories, because that to me is so interesting, and I thought you might enjoy it as well. So later on down this research, I find there is a previously classified CIA document talking about the relationship between parasites and cancer, and that tumors have something to do with parasites. It was quite scientific and a little bit over my head, where I didn't take the time to dissect everything it said, but I know that is what it was talking about, and how treating parasites would get rid of like the tumor or the problem. So that's something you may want to go research yourself, but very fascinating that it has been documented in our system as overcoming very large health issues. Then I come across the issue of root canals and parasites. And when someone has a root canal and that area is tested for the DNA and whatever else, they have found over 20 parasites in the site of where you had your root canal. So it makes you think, is the problem the parasites, or is it something that you need to remove the tooth? And this, you guys, blew my mind. If someone were to treat the parasites in the site of that tooth that was really bothering them, there wouldn't have been a need to have a root canal. That just absolutely blows my mind. Then there is also JFK Jr., and he had a parasite living in his brain, and it was eating part of his brain, and he shares his story on having a parasite, and they've gotten the parasite to die, but its body is still there. And so that seems even more like prevalent if it's someone that you know in the media having a parasite. It seems more real, like, oh, if they got it, like, I could get it. And after this research, I'm quite convinced almost all of us have parasites, and I think to some extent, like, that's all right. They're taking care of the heavy metals and toxin in our body, but they can also tap into our nervous system and control the way we think. They can give us anxiety. They can lead to depression because they are feeding off your hormones, and they particularly like the one that makes you feel like negative about yourself. To me, learning about parasites has completely opened my mind, and you guys, parasites are so easy to get rid of. And I said I won't share like all of my story on this video, but I feel so much better, and I'm only a week in, and I'm not even fully committed to the cleanse that I've been on. I was just trying it out to see if I felt any better. I'm not following the diet you're supposed to do while doing the cleanse, because I felt like for my body, I need to still nourish myself with like meat, and I like to have sweets. And I wasn't sure if this was going to change how I felt at all, and it absolutely has. Like, I have felt so good still eating my normal foods. I've held back a little bit from like my normal sweets, but I feel so good still eating my food that I usually eat. My mind, it's just, there has been a huge difference. And you guys, this is gross, but I am seeing things leave my body. Like, that is so wild to me, and a little bit disturbing, like that little critters are living within my system, but I'm thankful to have them exiting. So let me know in the comments below if you've done a parasite cleanse, how you have felt after or during, any advice you have. I will see you next time when I share my story of doing a parasite cleanse. It still is blowing my mind. This is a topic that I'm talking about. But you guys, this is such an important topic, and I'm actually very excited about it just because of the results I've been having. But I'll see you next time, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.